Okay, so we have 31 people joining us already. So perhaps we can start. So the poster on display is about our next webinar. Hello everyone, welcome for joining us. So this webinar is a joint effort of Horizons Advisories and Digital Crew. We are going to have Lucia Netti, the regional partner of Horizons, to talk about legal matters, how to enter the Chinese market. And Lucia is the Horizons regional partner, overseeing the firm's Sino-European activities. And she advises a broad range of foreign investors with interest in both mainland and Greater China. Maybe Lucia, you can say hi to everyone. Yes, we are going to send the recording afterwards, Georgie. So maybe Lucia, you can say hi to everyone.
Yes.
Hello. So
hello.
Lucia is right now in Italy, and she has taken out her busy schedule to share her knowledge with us. And Horizon has multiple offices in the globe, and she is very much informed with the Chinese market. And we both agencies specialize in cross-border businesses, and that's why we are joining our effort together to share our knowledge with you. So we are going to have Daniel Xue, our APAC General Manager at Digital Crew, to share his experience working with the Chinese industry and the digital marketing with China market a little bit later on. So two of the panelists are going to talk for 20 minutes, and we are going to have a Q&A session at the end as well. Hi, Daniel. Would you like to say hi to the audience?
Hello, everyone. We're glad to see everyone here. Even though I cannot see you, you can see all three of us. Hope you enjoy the session.
Okay, Lucia, I think you can start now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Leslie.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good morning or good evening. Thank you for attending our webinar, and thanks to our partner, Digital Crew Consultancy, for co-hosting with us such event, which will focus on how to launch your business in China in an effective way. Few words to introduce our company, Horizons Corporate Advisory. We are a consultancy firm highly specialized in law and tax matters, and we provide professional assistance to the enterprises in the overseas transactions. With our offices around the world and as a member of the association known as China Collaborative Group, we may provide assistance to the companies in over 20 countries in the world. This includes by giving expert assistance to the enterprises in launching a business in a foreign market. And this includes the planning of the project, the daily assistance, and the problem solving. Our practice includes the corporate law, the commercial law, the IPR protection, the tax law, and the labor law. And regarding the China market, I'm proud to say that Horizons is assisting the companies to launch the business in China and to navigate the business in China for more than 30 years. I will start my talk with you today by sharing an issue that I deem is one of the most recurring in the minds of the entrepreneur today. In this period, the entrepreneur's highest priority is how to cut the cost, how to stabilize the cash flow, and on the other side, which kind of solutions and ways could be applicable to develop the business and to recover from the COVID-19. In this scenario, there is a question when you are approaching a foreign market. Is it the right moment to approach a foreign market? And in our case, is it the right moment to approach the Chinese market? In these minutes with you during my talk, I will provide you with some useful information to reply to such question and to offer a picture on how to approach the China market and how to navigate today in this market. As you have seen, the title of our webinar is to launch the business in China. But today, the first point that I would emphasize is that to launch shall be referred to two situations. The first one shall be how to launch by knowledge the business in the market for those companies that are not in China yet. But the other issue is how to relaunch your business in China for those companies that are in China but shall have to recover from the COVID-19 effect or that could have had losses due such situation. Given that said, there are two issues that shall be considered to reply to the question, is it the right moment to launch the business in China? The first issue that shall be considered is the new foreign investment law now effective in China. The second issue is the approach of the China government to the foreign investors. The new foreign investment law came into effect on 1st January 2020. And I would say that since this moment, the foreign investments have entered in a new era. In fact, since this moment, with the new law, the companies constituted by Chinese and the companies constituted or participated by foreign investors are made equal. What does it mean that they are equal? This means that they will have the same rules to be applied, the same obligation, and could have also the same benefits. It is a very key point. The new foreign investment law is based on three principles that a foreign investor that would like to launch the business in China has to consider. The first one is equality. Equality means that the local government shall issue policy equally applied to the Chinese company and to the foreign invested companies. The second principle is the promotion and the facilitation of the foreign investment. It is a very important principle, and it means that the local government at the county level and above may issue policy to promote and to facilitate the entering of the foreign investors in the territory of China. The third principle is the protection of the foreign investors. It shall be highly guaranteed the protection of the foreign investment in the territory. These are the main principles, and I think that some practical sample on how such principles work could be useful. For example, regarding the protection, there are a lot of provisions in the law that could demonstrate that the will of the China government is really to increase the protection of the foreign investors. For example, it is clear in the law that the intellectual property rights shall be highly protected by the law, and that in case of infringement, for example, of a trademark, the liability shall be strongly persecuted. Another important issue that, in my experience, is one of the main concerns of a foreign investor in approaching the China market is that the Chinese government is not allowed to expropriate the foreign invested company it will. It is a very good point. The other principle that, in my opinion, is the most important one is the approach of the government in the promotion and the facilitation of the foreign investments in the territory. Also in this case, some examples could be useful. We could note that since last year, a lot of procedure, I'm referring to administrative procedures to manage the companies in China, have been simplified. For example, now you may manage your company and execute a lot of procedure via online application. And this is a big change because in the past, a lot of procedures shall be executed by person. But the most interesting things in this regard, regarding the promotion of the foreign investments, is the changes that the government applied to the list of sectors, permitted or not permitted. For example, the list that includes the industry sector not permitted to the foreign investors has been decreased. In the 2018, we had in such list 48 industry sectors that were not permitted to the foreign investors. In the 2019, such negative list, it is called negative list, has removed such restriction in certain sectors. And today, we can see that the prohibited sectors are related to the nuclear plant, to the transportation, and to the Chinese medicine, and so forth. For example, a big change is that since this year, for the oil and gas exploration, is it possible not to make a joint venture with a Chinese partner? And again, a lot of financial sectors are now open to the foreign investors. On the other side, the list of the industry sectors that are encouraged by the China government has been enlarged. There are a lot of sectors that today are encouraged, and they are strategic sectors. For example, in the biotechnology, in the new materials, the modern pharmaceutical. And then every region of China has issued specific policy, local policy, to encourage some sectors. All this is to say that today, the China government is implementing rules and measures to really help and support the foreign investors to enter in the China market. When you decide to approach a foreign market in general and also China market, we can say that there are three main ways to approach the market. To set up a legal entity, for example, a joint venture or a wholly foreign invested company, or to set up a representative office, even if, as you know, the representative office has limited activities that could execute. Or you may start a commercial cooperation with a Chinese partner. In this case, I'm referring to a distributionship agreement or agency agreement and so forth. I would point out your attention on the setting of a legal entity, because in this regard, the new law applicable in China, the new foreign investment law, has made important change. For example, today, if you would like to set up a joint venture or your own company, you have to comply with only one law. That, in general, is the company law. In the past, when you have to set up a joint venture or an own invested company, you have to comply with 3 different laws. So this means that the laws have been simplified. Another important change is that today it's possible to start a cooperation with a Chinese natural person, for example, a joint venture. In the past, this was not possible. And as you may imagine, this kind of change in the law has opened up a lot of possibilities. But the big innovation of this new foreign investment law is that today, the highest corporate body in a foreign invested company is the shareholder meeting. In the past, the highest corporate body was the board of directors. And as you may imagine, this is a very important change from the point of view of the foreign shareholders in terms of control and of management of the company. I have spoken up to this moment about the rules that could support the company to enter in the China market. But as I mentioned a few minutes before, to launch a business shall mean also how to relaunch such business in China. Today, we can say that the COVID-19 has had a disruptive impact on the businesses worldwide. But in this scenario, the China government has issued a lot of measures to concretely support the companies that are now in China to get back on their feet. And those measures, that support can be applied to all the Chinese companies, including the foreign invested companies. Such measures include, for example, the personal management, the taxation. You may obtain some taxation reduction or exemption. And it is important also to say that there are some preferential loans that could be applied to the companies that had losses due to the COVID-19 effect. And the average interest rate is very low. Such preferential loans have an average interest rate of 2.56% with a discount of 50%. That is a subsidiary of the Ministry of Finance. This is to say that the China government has issued rules to support the companies. The only thing to be considered is that to apply to such kind of support, you need to be a reliable company. Being a reliable company shall mean to comply with the law. And to comply with the new foreign investment law is the basis. When you launch your business in China, I could say that for sure, the management of the personnel and to comply with the local rules in terms of personnel management is one of the most important and sensitive issues. And the regulation of the position of the general manager in China, according to our experience, is one of the most sensitive issues. We have many situations where a foreign investor decides to appoint as a general manager a foreigner. But sometimes the local rules of China are not considered. We could have two situations that could create risk to the foreign investors. I will explain briefly. In the first case, for example, we have a foreign investor that decides to appoint as a general manager a foreigner, and such foreigner starts to work in China for the Chinese subsidiary, but without a labor contract and not having a work permit. At the end, the employment of such general manager into the Chinese company is regulated by a labor contract signed with the mother company, so with the foreign investor. This is a practice that cannot be applied in China. The general manager of the Chinese company shall have a labor contract with the Chinese company. Such contract, according to the Chinese law, will regulate the relationship between the general manager and the Chinese company. Differently, your general manager is working illegally in the territory. And the risk, a risk both for the company and for the natural person. We could have another situation that we analyzed many times during the past years, where we have the foreign investors. The foreign investor appoint a foreigner as a general manager, and at the end, the general manager decides to sign a contract with the Chinese company, but the contract is only a formality, is a simple form with the only purpose to apply to the work permit. Also, this situation is not correct situation, because the labor contract shall be a real labor contract with all the related clauses, with a proper salary in China, because such contract will be considered in terms of tax bureau, labor bureau, etc. So this is to say that it is important to appoint the general manager and to regulate the position in the correct way. I have spoken about the work visa. If you need to work in China, you need to have a work visa. The business visa is not the visa acceptable to work in China, and today the controls are more strict. The rules to obtain a work visa in China, as you may know, today are strict and are becoming tighter. This is because to apply for a work visa, you have to demonstrate to be a qualified person. Because the principle is why you would like to employ a foreigner and you will not employ a Chinese. You have to demonstrate that such foreigner is fundamental for the company. I will conclude this part saying that in planning the launching of your business in China, it's important to evaluate in advance which kind of personal management you would use and to analyze as a priority the applicable rules to avoid risk. Before going to the last part of my speech that is related to the IPR protection, I would provide you with one practical example that could clarify how such promotion of the China government could work. We assisted a company in establishing the R&D department. It was a multinational corporation, and it was specialized in the field of the biotechnology. The initial investment of such company was about 34 million euro. And according to the project that such company files to the Chinese government, they obtained a lot of subsidies and support by the Chinese government. For example, they obtained the office subsidy for 3 years. They obtained a 4-year financial support. And in this case, it is interesting to note that they obtained also a support for the application of the work visa for the top executive of the company with a fast-tracked way. This is, in my opinion, a very good example to demonstrate that in case you have a good product, in case you are in one of the fields that are more encouraged by the government, you really will have the possibility to receive important support by the government. Now I'm going to speak to you about the last part of my talk that is related to the protection of the intellectual property right in China. This is a very sensitive issue because in the people's mind, when you think about China, you will say that you are thinking about infringement of trademark. I could say that it is true that in China we have a lot of infringement cases, but it is also true that we need to evaluate how you have protected your trademark in China. There are 2 principles that are the basis of the trademark protection in China. One is the principle of the territoriality that is common to a lot of countries. And this means that to protect your trademark in China, you have to protect the trademark in the territory, to register the trademark in the territory. The second principle is the first to file principle. That means that the trademark right belongs to the first person who applied for the registration in China. You have two ways to register your trademark in China: to apply to the National China Trademark Office, and so to start a national registration, or on the other side, to apply via international registration to the World Intellectual Property Organization. This is the so-called Madrid system. Generally speaking, both systems are equal. In both cases, you will have your trademark registered in China. But in practical, I will suggest you to register the trademark at the national level, at the China Trademark Office. In fact, according to the practice, in a lot of procedure of infringement and in front of the court, usually the national registration will prevail. After me, our partner, we speak about digital marketing. And also in this case, the trademark protection is the basis. You have to think about the trademark protection and to register your trademark protection before executing any action, before entering in the market. This is a priority. I'm going to conclude my talk with you today, telling that, is it true that we are in difficult days because the COVID-19 and now the recovery, but China could really be an opportunity today. It could be an opportunity because we have a lot of rules and measures that may support your business. And in my 15 years of experience helping the companies to come to China, to protect an investment everywhere shall mean absolutely to take benefits. And today you can take benefits from the Chinese market. We are here to support you and to help the companies to achieve that success. Thank you for listening.
Our knowledge is with us. Next, we have Daniel Xue, which is our APAC General Manager at Digital Crew. For those who missed the introduction, Daniel Xue is our General Manager APAC at Digital Crew. He's based in Sydney and he's speaking to you in Sydney right now. He has over 20 years working experience in marketing across different industries and in different markets globally. He was the head of marketing at Dell, Schneider Electric, and several other multinational companies. And at Digital Crew, Daniel is responsible for driving strategic directions and leading the team to deliver outstanding services to our clients. So without further ado, I will please welcome Daniel Xue, and he is going to introduce Digital Crew briefly.
Thank you, Leslie. Lucia just gave some talk on some serious and heavy topic about the laws, about all kind of things working in China. I remember the time I worked in China, okay, how difficult to get a working visa, because I was considered a foreigner, even though I look like a Chinese, but I was a foreigner. So it's very difficult to get a working visa. And also, I know the labor law is very complicated and it's very sensitive. And definitely, I believe you need an expert like Horizon help you if you want to make sure you get protected. So I just switch gear a little bit after this serious topic. Just talk about the digital things in China. How do you actually market your business and your product in China? Before I get to the topic, I just take a few minutes, give a quick introduction about Digital Crew. Digital Crew is multilingual digital agencies. We focus on cross-cultural marketing, and we help business to market their product and services in countries, in different countries with a different cultural background. And our mission is to help a business to bridge the cultural gaps between their home country and target countries. We're a global company. We're headquartered in Sydney, Australia. We have office in Melbourne. And also we have offices in China, in Shanghai, Guangzhou, Hong Kong. Also, we have office in Mumbai, India. We have office in Tokyo, Japan. We also have our office in New York City in the States. Okay, we provided our services in different languages. Mostly, our services are we provide our services in Chinese, Japanese, English, and many other languages. Here's a snapshot of the full integrated digital marketing services we provided. To name a few, we help companies to develop a digital strategy before they actually start their digital marketing action plan. And also we help conduct the brand audit, in-market insight analysis. Also, we do the creative design, local content localization, web design, and mini program design. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the mini program in the following pages. Also, we do the research. We do the search, use a local search engine like Baidu in China, Google here in the most Western countries. And also we do the media and the KOL buys for companies. Most our customers are from different industries, from different countries. For example, study NSW, study Perth, study Melbourne, from education industry from Australia, Yale University from the States, and also some customers like Cebu Airlines from Philippines, one of the largest airlines in the Southeast Asia, and the Leisure Pass Group, the world's leading pass companies, and also the Changlong, the one of the largest amusement park in China. And also we have many business coming from different countries in FMCG industry, like L'Oreal from France, Oriton, Chemist Warehouse, Cancer Council from Australia, LKK from Hong Kong, and Kroger from States. Okay, now I want to talk about the online, the digital marketing first. I'd like to talk about the online, the digital trend and the platforms in China. We all know the COVID-19 hit started actually China in January. That hit the country really badly. Almost all of the major economic indicators got a negative growth, like industry output, retail sales, and fixed asset investment from January to February, February to March, all recorded a negative growth. Pretty much the only exception is the online sales. You can see the numbers. From January to February, recorded a 3% positive growth. And the second period, from February to March, we even recorded higher growth, 6%, double the growth rate compared to the previous months. So pretty much the online e-commerce is the only one in China recorded a positive growth. talking about the e-commerce, I think many people have heard the company Alibaba, the company that had one of the most successful IPO in the US stock market. But actually, for international business, we don't recommend to work, at least to start with, to use Alibaba, because that pretty much is for the domestic products. And customer go there, they're looking at relatively low-end product with competitive price. So this is not very good for international business. And on the right hand, the graph shows the most popular internet e-commerce platform for international companies to start their business. The top couple is like a Cola and Tmall Global. And there's another one, Little Red Book. I don't know how many people heard of this. This one, even though it's not on top 3, but this one has become the most, one of the most influential e-commerce platform in China. There are a lot of influential KOLs that are posting articles to introduce companies' product and services, especially like cosmetic, food, wine, those kind of business. They heavily use KOLs on the Little Red Book. People when thinking about the business, thinking about going to China, many people think about going to tier 1 city, like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen. Yes, they still have the highest disposable income per capita. But looking at these figures, the second tier cities and even third tier cities, below the first tier cities, they are having the highest growth potential in the next 10 years. So for those business, if you are not providing the like a top-end, high-end products, we recommend you, the business, to go to look at the second tier cities and even third tier cities to avoid the saturated market in the tier 1 cities. We all know China has very strict firewall. So many social media platforms we are very familiar with, or we use them on daily basis in the West countries. For example, like a Facebook, Twitter's, they are not allowed to use in China. And also even some company like Google and eBay, they try to run their business in China, but didn't succeed. So they all kicked it out of China. So China, they actually, Chinese, they promote their own internet apps and website. For example, like a Google. The Baidu is the most popular search engine in China. It takes more than 80% of market share in China, even though it's not, I mean, considered a very good search engine, but there's no options. That's the one in China. If you want to do business, you want to have a presence on the search engine, Baidu pretty much is the one you use. And also like a WeChat. I'm going to talk more about the WeChat in the following sections. That's another things can actually replace Facebook, Twitter in China and provide multi-functions. Many clients ask if they want to do business, should they have a website in China? The answer is yes. We highly recommend to have a website in China. The reason is it's fast. First, if you have I know it's a Chinese language, because most Chinese, even though a lot of them got educated in received higher education, they can read some English, but they still feel more comfortable reading Chinese. Second reason, to do the Baidu, like I just said, Baidu is pretty much the major only search engine available for most Chinese. If you want the Baidu to find you, Baidu has its own algorithm. you have to have a Chinese. Otherwise, when people do search, they cannot find you on Baidu. So we highly recommend you have a Chinese website if you want to have a business in China. In order to do that, you need to have an ICP license, okay? And to have an ICP license, the requirement is the business need to have a legal entities. In other words, you need to have your company registered in China. But the alternative, if you don't, you can partner with other companies, agencies to help you apply for ICP license in China. And other than this, if you want to do e-commerce, you also need a commercial license. Otherwise, you can only provide information. You cannot do e-commerce on your website. Other than website, there's another social media has been becoming more and more popular. It's live streaming. In China, it's kind of like replacing the television shopping. And it's becoming very, very important sales medium. For last year, the annual turnover has exceeded 200 billion RMB. And in-store, the conversion rate is over 65%. It's a very, very high conversion rate. And on the Double 11, the shopping day, I guess a lot of B2C company has heard of this. This is invented by Chinese business, Taobao. On that particular day, Taobao hosted this special KOL. Just in 2 hours, the sales reached almost 300 million yuan, RMB. And some other figures. In China right now, it's over 60% of people, they watch the live streaming in their spare time to relax. And over 50% live streaming, they interact with the host. And over 40% of them, they like it. And they give a rewards to the host and share videos to other people. And almost 90% of the live stream users, they said they like the live stream marketing. They appreciate what this live streaming can provide to them. The Douyin, I don't know how many people just read this news. I think they released yesterday. They just hired this top senior executive person from Disney to be a COO for their company. So they are getting international. They acquired TikTok, I think it's last year, right? And they are really, really becoming the international, one of the most popular live stream companies. And a lot of companies start using them to market their services and product. They use KOL, leverage the influence on this market. Before, when it just started, most users, like a young generation, 18, 30 years. Now, I mean, relatively older people, more and more older people start using this Douyin, TikTok worldwide, not just in China. So talking about this live stream, this is one just the live stream, the e-commerce from 2018 to 2019. It recorded more than 100% increase the sales on the through the live streaming internet. Okay, finally, I just want to talk about the WeChat. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this WeChat. This is basically, it's a combination of many social media we're familiar with, like a Facebook, Twitter, even like a phone, Instagram, and even credit card payment. In China, okay, people nowadays, they go on street. Many of them, they don't carry any wallet, no cash, no credit card. They only take a mobile phone. That can do everything. They can use that to read the news, talk to friends, make phone calls, even make a payment. So WeChat has become one of the most popular social media platform in China. There are two different official accounts for WeChat. One is a service account, another is a subscription account. So for business, if you want to use advanced features, for example, like a payment, you need to have a service account. If you just want to push out a message to send information to your followers, subscription account is the one. A service account normally allow a business to post to make a full post per month. That's the limit. But for subscription account, you can make a one post per day. So that's why for business, if you want to use a subscription account just to send out a message, subscription account is the one for business to use. And WeChat account, we can use a WeChat for both B2B and B2C business. For example, a digital guru, we are a B2B business. We provided services to our other business partners, and we use that to send a newsletter, to provide some other press release, and we push out a notification to our partners, business partners. Also, the WeChat can provide this CRM function by linking to third-party software provider. And so also the WeChat official WeChat account can help you, company business can use that for lead generation. For B2C business, WeChat articles WeChat can be used as a newsletter, send it to followers to your customers. Also, this can provide the CRM function and also enable the social sharing with clients. Moment ads. Moment ads is one of the very important ads provided by WeChat. This is a placement you put on the news feed, similar to the news feed on Instagram or Facebook, but maximally one individual only can receive 3 ads per day. That reduce the harassment. I mean, for the too many advertisement that people receive on their daily basis. This WeChat Moment is similar to Facebook, Google. You can set up by people's interest, target people by their interest, geographic location, and demographic information like age, income level, etc. And here's a quick example of this WeChat Moment ads that incorporating their news feed, and people can click on that. There's go to the landing page. Either you can fill out a form or can lead you to their official account or mini program to make purchases. This is WeChat banner ads. So a business can put the banner ads at the bottom of the WeChat account to target the potential clients. For mini program, WeChat mini program is the app that within the WeChat app can run. You don't need to download it. You don't need to install it. And it works seamlessly with the iOS and Android. You don't need to develop different version to meet the requirement and iOS and Android. That reduce your cost for development. Also, that's use the WeChat. You can have your mini program store to do the e-commerce, or you do some management work. You can do the payment. Right now, there are like 4.5 million WeChat mini programs already, and expected is this number is going to be hit 6 million in the following years, and there are 400 million daily active users for WeChat mini program. And currently, almost 95% of e-commerce brands have a mini program. And over 60% of users, WeChat users, they use a mini program. There's a few examples of a mini program. This is the one we actually developed as a recipe, cooking recipe for LKK. Followers, people can use this to look for their favorite recipe to cook for their dinners. And also this is WeChat online ticket booking. This is clients can use this to look for information. Also, they can use this to book the digital tickets. And this is a mini program for e-commerce. And this is the one for Livestream I just talked about. You also can use that, connect to the mini program to do e-commerce. And this is a mini program for the game, people to do some entertainment. Okay. Finally, thank you for attending the session. The final words, to localize your communication is the very key. It's very important if you want to succeed in China. And you need to have a presence on local digital platform in China. And okay, you can use that to start connect with your clients, suppliers, employees, and other stakeholders more effectively. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And it comes to our question and answer time. We have quite a few questions popping in. So we would like to have Lucia to lead the question, answer those questions first.
Yes. Okay, we have a question that, is it the good time to set up an import-export business now? I would reply that, first of all, it depends by the product. But we have to consider that now, in the present days, China is recovering and is recovering quicker than other countries. So if you have a good product, if you are in a sector that is in the interest of the Chinese government, you should also to consider the internal market, the China market, because it could be a good opportunity for you. There are a lot of customers in China because there are a lot of people. There are a lot of regions that are very interesting regions because depending on your sector, you could find more support in different regions. So I would reply that it is necessary to analyze your product, but you have also to analyze how to enter in the national market because it could be very interesting. Then we have another question that is the first option for the registration of the trademark is the most solid solution. Yes, it is, because as I said, we have two solutions to register a trademark in China, and theoretically, they are both applicable, because at the end, with the international registration and with the national registration, you will have the trademark registered. But in practically, if you have to make any legal procedure for current, according to the current practice, the national registration is more safety because it's more protective for you in China. And you have to consider that if you file a registration at the national level, the duration it's usually is quicker than an international registration. And another important thing to consider is that when you file the registration of a trademark, you have to choose the class and the subclasses of the product. The list of the subclasses that are now present at the China Trademark Office are longer than the list of the subclasses that are present at the Madrid system. So you have more possibility to register your trademark in a lot of subclasses and also to protect the trademark. So I would reply that yes, in practically, the national registration should be preferred. You will have protected your trademark for 10 years and the cost is not so high. Is such attendee is interesting, you can write me and we can speak in detail about this.
Actually, I just answer a few questions. I received a few questions. First, do I need a Chinese company to get a WeChat official account? The short answer is no, you don't have to. With your foreign registered business, you can have your WeChat account. The only difference is you can only have a service account, which means you cannot make that many posts for your WeChat account, which the limitation is 4 posts per month. If you want to post more articles, you need to have a registered license in China to get a subscription account. In that case, you can post make 1 post per day. Another question I think is what's the platform? What's the best platform to launch a cosmetic product for Gen Z? Okay. Actually, like I said, the Little Red Book is one that has a lot of KOL influencers represent company to help promote a company's product, especially cosmetic product. And JD International and VIP, there are other good platforms. There are a lot of high-end, mid-end cosmetic product business that are promoting those products on those e-commerce platforms. And another question is how long will it take to get a WeChat official account? Normally it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get a WeChat official account. Okay, so Lucia, you have more questions you can answer?
Yes, we have a question if we may provide legal services on day-to basis. Yes, as I said before, we support the companies from the beginning, I mean, from the planning of the business in China, in the day-to-day management of the company, including the legal, the tax, accounting matter, and so on, to cover all the issues that could interest your company in China, in terms of corporate governance, in terms of daily management, and so forth. Then we have another question that is this crisis a reason for China promoting its internal digital companies and localizing foreign companies? Okay, I could reply that due to the crisis and the COVID-19 effect, now a lot of procedures are now digitalized, and for sure the internal digital companies are now increased. But at the same time, as I said, the support to the foreign companies is because the Chinese government is really interested that the foreign investor could enter in the China market, could provide more new products, could provide the capabilities in the sectors. So this is the real interest, not so connected with the crisis, because yes, there is the crisis, but China is recovering. And I think that in the mind of the entrepreneur shall be considered that today, in our world, China could be a solution because you could have concrete support. we have another question that is interesting one, because it is asked on which basis we as Horizon can affirm that the Chinese law are consistent and safeguard the interests of the investors. I would say that it is true and it is real that in China today there is a support for the foreign investors. But the most important requirement is that the company shall proceed and shall operate according to the Chinese law. And it is not so obvious, because so many times we found that a lot of foreign investors cannot fully comply with the law. And the new foreign investment law is another step that shall be observed. So I would affirm that according to our practice, because in this period we assisted a lot of companies to obtain, for example, subsidies from the government and to enter in China in these last months. You can be supported, but you have to proceed in the most legal and proper way.
Thank you so much, Lucia. Thank you so much, Daniel, as well. We have reached the end of our webinar. Thank you so much for all of your time and your participations. We are going to send a recording of this webinar and a PowerPoint presentation to everyone after the webinar. Thanks again. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. Bye now. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Please send us your question and we will be happy to reply to you.